Hey, what is up, my people? How we doing today? Today, finally able to buy some NIO stock, which I'm super duper stoked about. I was super bullish about NIO stock in the past. Ended up selling some really far out the money calls, and I ended up buying in like the teens, and then I ended up getting rid of it in about the 30s just because it shot up so fast and my calls were in the money, which kind of stinks. But anywho, I bought some more today. I'm very, very bullish about it. I was actually pretty happy with earnings, which we're going to go ahead and dive into today. But we're going to look at the bull and the bear thesis, because the bears actually do have some points, and it is down for decent justification today. I believe it's down way more than it should be today, so that's why I scooped some up. So again, not a financial advisor, entertainment only, but I enjoyed this stock, and we're going to go ahead and dive into all of the reasons at the end. We're going to kind of have a takeaway of like, oh, these are the good things it could have going for it. I believe this, this, and this. Maybe it's a buy. Oh, I don't believe this, this, and this. Maybe I don't touch it. So we're going to go ahead and dive into that, and now we'll talk about why it's down so huge. If you enjoy the content, think about liking and subscribing. This is now a decent position of mine, so I'll probably be covering it well again. So let's dive in. Let's go ahead and start with the bear thesis now. And there is good justification to be down some today, I would say, but not as drastic as it is. It was having like a 10% down day, which is just bananas in my opinion. So, bears, what's the big hubbub with all the bears right now? So, earnings-wise, they had a loss of 14 cents per share versus the expected 7. And that is pretty huge. I would say that's about double what everybody was expecting, so that's obviously not good. They missed expectations by 100% on that one. So that is a very big bear point, and if we are going to keep eating and having these losses, that's going to prevent us from getting to profitability, right? So that is a big concern, and I do want to see earnings per share start heading towards the positivity versus being so darn negative. So that is a huge negative, and in my books too, it is still a pretty decent negative, but I do believe we are still heading towards profitability. But right now, missing by 100% was not ideal, let's say. Chips in China. So after reading a few articles, Tesla was declaring that the chips that they're making for the EV vehicles in China is going to be a shortage. And Tesla actually had to stop production for a while due to this shortage. So is that going to affect the amount of vehicles that NIO is able to crank out? And is that going to affect their revenue? Is that going to affect their growth? Very possible. The bears have a good point here as well. If they're not able to get these chips and crank out these vehicles, then they're not going to be making the revenue for these vehicles, and growth is also going to stall. So this is another good bear point where if they don't have the means to make these vehicles, that is going to hurt them in the short term here. We possibly kind of saw this with their production. So in January, they made 7,225 vehicles, and then in February, they made 5,578. So it's not realistic to think they're going to keep breaking records month after month after month after month, even though that's what they were doing. But this could be due to a variety of factors, and this case in particular, I believe, is due to the chip shortage. So they weren't able to keep breaking month after month after month. And that's another bearish point where, okay, maybe they're going to start slowing off, maybe they've hit their top, maybe they're going to taper off. So it is a valid argument. So I believe bear case wise, we do actually have a pretty strong argument. The biggest one is that big of a miss on their revenue, the loss of 14 cents versus 7. That's pushing back my bull thesis of profitability by a good ways, and all of these shortages and the lack of growth that we're going to be seeing due to shortages of chips and whatnot. So bears do have a good argument here, but let's dive into the bull thesis here and see what they have to say. So this here is off the NIO Investors Relation page, and as we can see from Q1 to Q4 in 2020, the growth on the vehicle sales has been absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. So Q1 we saw 3,800, 10,000 Q2, 12,000 Q3, and then 17,000 in Q4. So at the rate of this growth, I just am very, very bullish about what the next year has to bring, regardless of all of the bearish stuff we just talked about all of the shortages that we are seeing. So, and I would highly recommend going on to the NIO Investor Relations page and reading through their earnings, because it's a good read and I'm just giving what I find important. So the bull thesis here, guys, and these are just snippets of the earnings that I found really important and that I think is going to build a nice bull case. I would recommend that you all, if you're thinking about investing in this company, just go to NIO Investor Relations and look at their earnings on there, and it had some really nice nuggets of information that's really, really important. So always be well informed before you make your financial decisions here. I read through it all, and these are just the snippets that I thought were kind of important here. So, bull case. What do we have going on for the bull case here? So, EVs, they're thinking they're going to be able to produce 10K per month on the second half of 2021. So that would be great. We just saw how big of growth that they have had, and they've been growing like crazy over the quarters. Their growth has been like super duper duper exciting in my opinion, and being able to consistently crank out that many vehicles per month on the second half of 2021 would be absolutely amazing. they're thinking after 2021, like first quarter of 2022, they're going to start being able to crank out 150,000 vehicles per year, which is going to be absolutely amazing. They're going to be having such a crazy amount of growth, which is why I'm very excited about this one. Future EV sales in China is also looking super duper bullish. So they're thinking there's going to be a 30% hike in the demand for EV sales in China. This is from IHS Markit, was the source that I found this on. So the demand for EV vehicles in China should be crazy. Granted, that being said, Tesla is going to be a large competitor that's also setting up shop in China right now as well. So that's more on the bearish side, but I believe that we're going to see a large amount of growth out of NIO. So I think we're doing pretty good there. Another thing that I really have liked ever since its inception is the fact that they have the option to rent their batteries, and it's actually going up. So in November, 35% of people opted to do the rental battery, where they can get a better battery, switch it out, and then they can, pay the amount of rent they want for the battery per month. This went from 35% in November up to 55% in February, which I think is great. If more people start opting for this, I see this as a very consistent form of revenue for NIO, and it's very exciting to me that they can go ahead and just flip out a battery. Oh, you can upgrade your battery. Oh, my battery's not doing so good now I can flip it out. Maybe this is also going to add to the longevity of the vehicles as well. I just find it as a very bullish point. So here we're going to go through a couple things next, where it's like, do you feel this is true about this stock? Do you feel this is true about this stock? Maybe you should stay away. Maybe you should hop in, and always do your own due diligence. So let's dive into that. Final thoughts here. So these are the reasons why I purchased NIO stock in particular. Do your own DD, read through the earnings, see how you feel about it. But these are my thoughts in particular and how I feel about it. So production levels. Do I think the shortage of chips, do I think everything that's going on is going to decrease their production levels? Based on what I'm seeing and the amount they've been cranking out, like quarter to quarter, and how it's been consistently going up, and the fact that there's going to be such a big demand, I know the shortage is possibly going to hurt it, but long term, which I plan on holding this stock very long term, I see it just going up and up, and I believe production is just going to keep going up quarter after quarter. So I'm very bullish on that. And with that being said, sales. I believe since the production is going to go up, they're going to start making more and more sales, hopefully not miss their EPS so hard next time, and also get to profitability and, just overall be making more revenue, making more earnings, everything on that front. So I believe sales will go up. I believe production will go up. If you don't believe those two things, maybe stay away from this one, obviously. I also think that EVs are going to start overtaking internal combustion engines. I think ICE engines are kind of on their way out. That's kind of been the turn of the century since 2020. It kind of feels like everybody, including the big ones that are making internal combustion engines, are starting to move over towards electric vehicles, that being GM, that being Ford, that being, all of those guys. Everybody's trying to move over towards electric vehicles. I think, Tesla obviously has the biggest lead on everybody, but I would also say that NIO has a good start and a good big lead on everything in China, I would say at least. So I believe that EVs are going to be the future, another positive point for NIO stock. Revenue and profit, we've already covered this. I think it's going to get better and better as time goes on. That being said, there is going to be a chip shortage, maybe some more short-term hurt down the line. We will see. And my final point is I'm very long on this stock, so I want to hold it for a long time. I'm probably not going to write cover calls on it again because I lost my shares way earlier than I wanted to lose them last time. I really like EVs for the future in general. I don't think they're in a bubble necessarily. I know they got very overpriced for a while, but I believe the future is going to be with electric vehicles, and I think NIO could be one to capitalize on it a lot. I think today brought up a nice buying opportunity with how low it was, and I'm hoping that it pans out. So that's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully you like the content. I'm going to be covering NIO a little bit more now that I have a decent sized position in it, and hopefully we all make some money. Thanks.